Welcome to the Grow Podcast. I'm Pastor Mike with New Hope Network. We're here to help you take your next step in your relationship with Jesus. I'm so glad you're with us today.
What's up, New Hope family? Welcome to the Grow Podcast. This is episode, what is this, 78? 78. Episode 78. Merry Christmas, everybody. Yes. I hope you're listening to it close to when it comes out. Otherwise, that was like a random Merry Christmas in like March.
This should be Christmas week if you're listening to the week it
the day
out.
after Christmas, this will go live. So Merry Christmas, Pastor Mike.
Merry Christmas.
It's your time of year.
It is.
You're not wearing any Christmassy
It's
things.
white, but yeah, I should have. Yeah.
Is that
Christmas,
red
white,
and green?
Red, white, green,
Snow,
something.
I guess. Snow.
Yeah, we've got some red going on back here.
We do, yeah. Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
We have kind of a different podcast than normal. We're not going to have, there's, I guess, maybe a couple opportunities from some teaching, potentially.
That's kind of an evil look you just gave me.
But unlikely. It's just going to be more fun. We're going to talk about Christmas stuff, have some fun, and then we'll be back to our normal podcasts next week. But we're still counting this as a numbered podcast.
Okay.
Even though the last time we did like a weird thing, I think it was wasn't it an extra one? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
You're like the
rules.
person in charge of it.
In charge is a strong word. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Christmas today on the podcast. So if you don't like Christmas, we'll see you next week on the Grow Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
If you do like Christmas, you're gonna get to learn a whole lot about Pastor Mike and his Christmassy things.
I've been nervous about this one for a little while.
So I have some like Christmas questions, conversations, topics, and then I'm going to sprinkle in some Christmas questions from your staff as we go along as well.
Oh no!
Some of which I'm very excited for. And so I think I'm going to open with one of those actually.
Okay.
So the first question for today comes from Hattie.
Okay.
Your discipleship pastor.
Yes.
Hattie wanted to know, what did you get me for Christmas? Now that's a quote from her. Not me. What did you get her for Christmas is the question.
Well, I can actually answer that. I mean, we every year for our elders and our staff, we spend the year searching for ornaments and specific kind of decorations for their houses, and we do this every year. And this year for the staff, and see, I'm giving it away for
because I haven't got this yet.
because you haven't gotten this yet because we're recording this before Christmas. There are some specific decorations for a house that are kind of cool.
Well, there you go, Hattie. You got a specific decoration for your house that's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
That was the exact quote. Yeah. I want to go back into Pastor Mike as a young child.
Oh, no.
Now, how old were you when you left the greatest state in the Union, Minnesota?
I was 10 years old.
Okay, good. Because I specifically would like to hear some Minnesota Christmas memories. Okay. So give me a favorite memory pre-age 10. So still living in Minnesota. Favorite Christmas memory as a child?
A favorite one? Well, some of my favorite ones were
you can go with like a real dark one if you want to. That'll really change the tone of the podcast, but that's up to you.
Well, there's a memorable one.
All right, let's hear it.
So my grandmother and my grandmother and grandfather, he passed away when I was fairly young, but they lived in Hector, Minnesota. It's a little town, and we would often drive there to go see them for Christmas. So I have a lot of warm memories there, and they had this attic that they never heated, but it had the guest bedrooms, in the kind of the old house, and so I just have a lot of warm memories of going up there, bundling up, in clothes, and that's what we did. The funny memory for there maybe reveals my not so high intelligence was my cousins had said something about, have you ever stuck your tongue on metal?
Oh, no. Pastor Mike.
And I'm like, I'm not going to fall for that. And so I didn't until no one else was looking. And I was out on the front porch, and my grandma had this, wrought iron metal thing. And I'm like, let me try this. And if you've ever done it, it's not a good idea, and I left a piece of my tongue on.
Well, I was gonna ask, were you able to solve this problem on your own?
Oh, yeah, because I wasn't gonna admit it to anybody.
You weren't gonna let anyone else know?
It was a long time before I admitted it to anybody.
Well, that's nice. You left some. You left your mark on Grandma's house. Yeah. That's good.
And Christmas dinner didn't taste quite the same that year.
Grandma, this ham is really flavorless this year. I don't understand. I don't like any of these cookies. They taste like copper. I don't understand.
I don't know what it was.
What's a favorite Christmas memory as a parent? You have 2 boys. They're grown up now. They're old men.
Yeah.
But favorite Christmas memory as a parent? It doesn't have to be like the number one, but just
we have a lot of them. Some of our favorites have been in recent years, and it's just part of our deal. So Kylie's parents live in northwestern Nebraska, which is about a 9-hour drive from where we live. And so we have tried to, it's one of our favorite places to go because it's very remote and the family gets together. And we've tried to every year drive down. We typically leave after we get done with our last in-person Christmas Eve service. And we'll get in like 2 in the morning. And that drive just has a lot of nostalgia for us.
Yeah.
In fact, this year, Kylie and I are making that just the 2 of us, weather permitting. And the boys are making it from Oklahoma, and we'll meet there in between. But those are some of our favorite moments. And then, we'll go out and we'll go walking through, they've got Cedars Woods there, and we'll go walking through there. And the silence in that winter in the woods those are just some great memories for us.
Yeah, I have distinct like Christmas related memories to long drives too. My mom's family, they were in California and then Arizona when I was growing up, and so not every year, but every few years or so we'd head down there for Christmas and we'd drive it. And I just have distinct memory. Now it wasn't like cold because we ended up in Phoenix, so I have like Christmas memories of being outside at like 10 p.m. playing with my cousins in the, and it's hot out and everything. But the drive specifically, I just remember, being in that car for days and Christmas music playing. I still remember the first time I ever heard the song "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." And if my parents are listening, I bet they remember too, because I don't know if they had never heard it either. I don't know when that song came out, but we just, the whole car, all 4, we were just losing it. We just couldn't believe what we were listening to. And we were getting really close by that point. So we were like, should we sing this song to Grandma when we get there? And it was,
for some reason, what is it about traveling and Christmas, and I grew up that way a little bit. Kylie didn't, because her family traveled the rest of the year because they would travel from church to church. So being home at the ranch was real meaningful for her. But my family often would, when we were in Minnesota, we actually would a lot of times, when my grandma, we would go pick up my grandma and bring her with and come to visit family actually here in North Dakota, where my aunt and uncle and cousins lived. And so, some of my favorite memories, and we'd drive like part way to Fargo and we'd stay at the Holodome,
Ooh, the Holodome.
And we'd get to swim in the winter, back in the day. And so those were just some cool long drive memories. And we still travel with the kids. We're big Disney fans. I know that's
everybody. Make sure you write that down. I bet nobody knew that. That's
every
crazy.
3-4 years, we love to go to Disney during the holidays. It's just special time and getting increasingly expensive with the boys older and that. So that doesn't happen as often. But
Joanna didn't have any childhood memories related to traveling really with Christmas, because it was her whole family lived in a 2-mile radius of where she lived on both sides of the family, and even their extended family, they're all right there. Whereas for me, it was my closest relatives were at least an hour away in Minnesota, and then most of my family was half the country away. So I was more like you. All right, I got another question here from your staff.
Okay. The way you smile at these,
because there's some really good ones, but we're gonna go with a question from Olivia.
Okay.
Now, if you're listening with your children and you like them to believe something about Christmas that you don't want them to hear, maybe skip ahead about 5 minutes.
Okay.
This is your Christmas spoiler warning right here.
Okay.
But Olivia wanted to know if you told your boys that Santa Claus was real when they were growing up.
Kylie and I had a long talk about that, and we chose to not tell them he's real, but we did kind of pretend around it, and so when the time came, when they kind of figured it out, it wasn't that you've been lying to us, you know? So we had a lot of fun around it, but we didn't necessarily say he's real, but we would talk about stockings and things, and have some fun around it.
Yeah.
So I think early on we would use words like pretending and things, but
okay.
they believed for quite a while. I remember the first.
Brendan just learned last year.
Yeah,
actually.
I remember the first time when he looked at us. Wait, and it was Brendan. Wait, he's not real, And we're going. So what do you think? Why would So we let him come to that conclusion. What do you think? So it was fun.
Did you believe in him growing up, or?
I was just, as you were asking that, I was just trying to remember.
Okay.
I'm sure I did as little, but I don't have real strong memories either way.
I never believed in him, but I was like sworn to like keeping that to myself by my mom would just be like, it is not your job to tell all the other kids at school that Santa Claus is not real.
See, that would be my high justice thing, is I'd want to make sure everybody knew.
And that's probably, which she probably saw that in me too. There's a show called New Girl, and there's a character named Schmidt in it who's Jewish, and there's in one of the Christmas episodes he talks about that, how like their rabbi would always tell them not to ruin Santa Claus for the Christian kids, and he's like, ruining Christmas is very bad for our brand, I think is his line. And I was like, that was me, except the Jewish part. We ended up not doing it. Joanna actually, because I never believed in him, so it didn't mean anything to me, but Joanna just said, I don't want to tell them that Santa Claus is real.
Yeah, that was.
And then we tell them that he's not real, and then they're like, "Well, is Jesus not real too?" And I was like, "Oh, I probably should have thought about it that way, but I didn't." Sounds like you guys had that as a part of your thought process too.
So, like Sunday morning or on Christmas morning, whatever morning that is, Christmas morning, we still call we have save one big gift for everybody, and we call it our Santa gift, and stockings like that, even still to this day. But that's just,
I think Joanna's parents still give one of the gifts is from Santa Claus, and that's, I think the way you said it, where you pretended around, like Leighton and I pretend to play Pokemon in our house. It doesn't mean he believes that they're real, so you can still have fun with it.
We would ask questions. So do you think he's coming? That kind of thing. No fun.
Good question, Olivia. That was
a good question.
Pastor Mike, your favorite Christmas present as a child, the first one that pops to mind when you think of the best gift you got as a kid?
Probably a portable record player. Ooh. I got this portable record player. It's like
you're aging yourself.
Yeah, it was. It was small.
That's pretty
because
cool.
It was small. It had a little lid on it where I could take it and plug it in everywhere.
Did it have a built-in speaker, or did you have to?
Yep, it had a built-in speaker.
That's pretty amazing.
And actually, another story that goes along with it. I have a scar on my leg from it. Because
what an athlete.
I refused to clean my room, and I had it down laying next to my bed. My mom said, "You need to clean your room." I was like, "I don't want to clean my room," and I fell out of bed in the dark and cut my knee open bad enough that it scarred from it. So, yeah, I want to say the last time I was at my parents', that record player may still be there.
Do you have a favorite Christmas present you've got as an adult? And don't say your marriage, because you got married around Christmas time. That's a cop out. It doesn't count.
Wow, that I'm trying to think. I have
other than my friendship.
Yeah. Kylie gets so annoyed, and the boys get so annoyed because it's not like I try, but it is very, very difficult to surprise me. I just have this innate ability to figure it out.
I think for everybody listening at home, Pastor Mike's innate ability is
I don't
when
cheat.
No one's in the house, he just
I don't cheat.
Tears the place apart.
Some of it is I just go,
connect the dots.
I just connect the dots on things. And I'm trying to remember what it was. There was something 2 years ago, and the best part of the present was I had no idea it was coming.
Nice.
Obviously, I don't remember what it was, but that was the best part because it's just hard to surprise me. Anything tech. I love tech.
Yeah. That's what I guessed it was going to be, some sort of. Real quick, do you have a favorite gift you've given?
The favorite, it's not necessarily the favorite gift I've given, but one of our favorite things to do is we've found different ways for Christmas morning for the boys to find their gifts. So we used to do no, we'll hide their stocking and their gifts somewhere in the house, or like when we were in California, somewhere outside or something. And I used to do.
You should have done that in North Dakota. Yeah. Good luck, boys.
They'll find it in the spring. But I used to do treasure hunts, with just
That's
clue
awesome.
after clue.
That's really cool.
In more recent years, even as they're older, in fact, a couple of years ago, might have been last year, I didn't plan on doing it. And the night before, the boys were like, "Now, we're doing that again." I'm going, you're a little old for this. No, we really like that. So what we've done the last few years is actually is much less work than coming up with a bunch of different clues. Is I get 2 different balls of yarn, and I'll take yarn and I'll string it all over the house, under things, outside, into the cars, and all around. And they've got to follow it all over the house. So and of course, the cats love this.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's their favorite Christmas tradition as well. You're like Ariadne from Greek mythology who gave, was it Theseus the string to get up? When he killed the Minotaur, he got out of the labyrinth. Maze. That's basically you.
Yeah.
Question from Michael. How did Jesus know to be born on December 25th?
He wasn't, as far as we know.
What?
I know. That's a shocker. And there's all kinds of controversy over this, right? It's like, it was just, pagan or whatever. But, as you really dig into this, most likely it was in the spring. Mm-hmm. Most likely in the time of God. It may have been around Passover time. But of course, Constantine and others looked at all the celebration around this time of year and said, let's redeem this kind of year. That's funny.
That flows well into, hold on, I misplaced a question.
Yeah.
Wait for it.
And, well, while you're looking for that, let me just comment on that, because one of the things you hear on like different documentaries and things, and especially people who kind of want to attack the whole idea of Christmas, is they say, Christmas, wasn't originally a celebration of Jesus. Originally it was Apollo and the rising of light and all these things. No, they recognize that this wasn't the time of year Jesus was born. And the first few hundred years, actually Christians didn't celebrate the birth of Jesus, because the bigger holiday is Easter.
Right.
Is Easter.
Yep.
But they were looking for, I think, a way to redeem this time of year. And the coming of Jesus, the Bible says that, in him is light. And, this is Jesus coming. There's so much symbolism, and it redeemed the whole celebration, pagan celebration of the solstice and all those kinds of things.
The question this is tied to came from Andrea.
Okay.
She's more quizzing you than asking a question.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
Because it's Andrea. So when was the first recorded celebration of Christmas? When and where, technically?
I have probably I would guess it would be during the time of Constantine.
I'm going to need
somewhere
a year
in there.
And a city.
I would be clueless there. I'm going to say somewhere around 200 AD.
Okay. City?
Rome.
You got half a point for Pastor Mike.
What did I get?
To clarify, I didn't double check this at all, so if this is wrong, it's Pastor Andrew's fault. She said Rome in 336 AD.
Okay.
336 AD.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I want to know...
I don't know my history dates. I never did well in that.
So you asked for a favorite Christmas song in your message the week before Christmas.
Sunday before Christmas, yep.
Did you give your answer, though? I know you said...
I didn't online. I only did in one service, one of the in-person services. So the first in-person service.
So that's the question I have for you. What's your favorite Christmas song?
O Come, Emmanuel.
I list that as it's like tied for first with me, with Christmas in the Sticks by No Big Deal, which I make you listen to a lot.
I mean, I have
which is genuinely a great song, even though it's a hip hop song, but it's from a Christian rapper.
That's not on my playlist.
But the lyrics of it are actually quite fantastic.
I have a lot of favorite songs, just different versions and arrangements.
Yeah.
But just as far as a song, that I love the haunting mystery, the melody,
and that one for
meaning
me
of it
is almost everybody's version of it. I like it's not 100%, but like if that song comes on, I'm pretty much okay listening to it no matter what. Whereas there's other songs where I'm like, ooh, I love Sufjan Stevens' version of that song, but I don't really need to listen to the rest of it. Or Seabird has probably my favorite Christmas album ever, and I'm like, I love that version of it, but I don't want to listen to this other one. But O Come, Emmanuel.
And there's I mean, for the theological nerd in me, there's such good, deep theological meaning in there. In fact, we were singing it in one of our services during the Christmas season, and I was thinking, man, I should sometime just do a teaching and just talk through that song, like. Because, when it starts, and ransom captive Israel, it's like, how many people know what that means?
Let's stay on the good theological theme from a question from Pastor Jordan.
Oh, no. He probably Googled this.
His question is, how high is the Yuletide currently, and should we be worried?
That doesn't even deserve an answer.
No. Okay, interesting. I thought that was one of our better questions. Sorry, Pastor
It was
Jordan.
creative. I will give him that.
I want to know your least favorite Christmas song.
Oh, that's easy. Christmas Shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has to be the most answered least favorite Christmas song.
Yeah.
It for sure is on our staff.
A friend of mine this year,
Pastor Aaron's favorite though. Pastor Aaron. I hope you're listening, Pastor Aaron. If you know Pastor Aaron, if you are connected to Central City Church in any way, play that song when you're around him. He'll be give him some candy corn and then play Christmas Shoes, and he'll be so happy.
Yeah,
so
that'll
happy.
just he will unfriend you every way.
I think Brock Romine listens.
Yeah.
So Brock, will you make sure you do that for us? We really appreciate it.
Give him that. I was going to say something with that. I know what it was. So I had a friend of mine this year that introduced me to a tradition that his family has. And it's a contest every Christmas to see which family member can go the longest through the Christmas season and never hear the songs.
Fantastic.
Never hear the song, which I think is a great one.
And I know I would win because I never listen. The only Christmas music I listen to is on a playlist that I have titled Acceptable Christmas. See, which I'll admit I've listened to probably more this year than in the past. I don't know. Maybe I've just been away from you more in August, and so I haven't been hearing it for 5 straight months. I think it's more Joanna.
Start later.
Joanna often starts earlier than usual, and this year she didn't for whatever reason, and so it hasn't been forced on me for so long, and so I'm like, let's listen to more Christmas music. Speaking of Christmas music, here's a question from Hattie. Does your love of Christmas music come from a trauma of some sort?
I had somebody else, why do you like Christmas music so much? I don't know the answer to that. I just, there's just, I like Christmas music more than any other kind of music. And I think there's some sentimentality to it.
Sure.
I think there's some emotion to it. I think I love the fact that most of the world, even if they aren't people of the Christian faith, listen to it, and so it's a great opportunity for them to hear about truth and in a way that they won't any other time of the year. Now, even with Christmas music, that's becoming increasingly rare.
Sure.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Another Christmas-related question. This comes from Karen.
Okay.
How many gifts were given in the 12 Days of Christmas song?
I've done the math on that in the past, and I'm
going to need a guess, remember. Pastor Mike.
I have no clue. And I'm not going to waste 5 minutes here with me doing the math. 32.
364.
Oh yeah.
32.
That's right. Yeah.
32.
That just makes sense.
Oh, no.
Like I said. See, math is not my thing. That's why you keep track of this. Yeah.
Oh man,
what is it?
364.
Okay.
Almost one per day of the year. It's pretty good.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, I have.
See the number guesses, the year guesses. I'm blowing it on all of these.
That was bad.
That was bad.
32 was a terrible guess.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. I have. Let me see. I want to ask my question.
Of course you do.
Mine's more serious. I want to talk about the wise men.
Okay.
Who were they? Mm-hmm. Where were they from? And the probably in my top 5 of my favorite characters in the Bible, in terms of your non-main characters, kind of your B-list characters. Not that they are, you know what I mean. So they're just not as focused on. There's not there's no book named after them. But I'm just so fascinated by them. We don't know anything about them other than that they came from the East. Were they Asian? That's a question that I often have. A lot of Asian cultures at the time were very into astrology and the stars, and they would have been east of where this was. But they're never portrayed in that way when you see them.
Right.
Sometimes you get an African king, and sometimes you get, they're just as white as Jesus is portrayed. It just depends. But who were the wise men?
There's so much rich history, isn't there? And that is one of my favorite stories to dig into. Of course, we've talked about the connection with the shepherds in the fields of Ruth and Boaz, and there's some great things there.
Really
Simeon
cool.
and Anna is another great story. The wise men, we honestly don't know a whole lot about them, other than that they're from the east, somewhere.
Right.
It took them some time to travel there because they came it looks like from the chronology when Jesus was a couple years older, because when you look at the slaughter of the innocents, when Herod ordered the slaughter of all those children under a certain age, it's like he did the math and went, he's got, so you look at that. We don't know how many there were, and we don't even know if the 3 gifts were all the gifts they brought. Those were evidently the most prominent ones because they were talked about. In my digging into it, I really think, and now not enough that I'm willing, to like die for this, but I really, really believe that they're connected to Babylon and the time when Daniel was in Babylon. Daniel was high influence, of high influence in the Babylonian and then the Medes and the Persian government. I mean, he went through multiple kings, which no one ever does. Yeah. Still highly respected for his faith, and evidently he was considered one of the wise men of Babylon and the Medes and the Persians. And as you dig into the history of that region, it looks like he, as best we can tell, he was, if not the founder of, one of the founders of one of the schools, the school systems in Babylon. And what's so fascinating about Daniel was he was highly schooled in all of the pagan faith of Babylon, to the point he knew it better than the people of Babylon did, and yet he didn't believe it. And so he founded this school, and what we do know is there was an education system that actually lasted for hundreds of years that we believe he was connected to. And of course, Daniel was one of them that recorded the prophecies of the Messiah, right? And he also would have collected Isaiah and all of these other prophecies, and so would have passed those on. And so part of what I've dug into is I really believe that these wise men, they're magi, astrologers, and learned people from the East, were part of that Eastern school. And it would be just like God, wouldn't it? To connect it all the way back to Daniel and the exile. And so that's really where I believe they came from, and took that time and brought that all together. They could have been much further east, and they could have been part of that because the Babylonian Empire, its influence spread further east. So they easily could have been Asian. They could have been, whatever from that area.
All right, a couple more.
Okay.
Favorite Christmas cookie? This is the most important question on the list.
That's so hard. I have a favorite Christmas dessert, but it's not a cookie. It's peanut butter fudge.
Have you had have I ever shared my grandma's peanut butter fudge with you before?
If you have,
I don't know if I knew that was your favorite.
Yeah. That's like my favorite.
My grandma's peanut butter fudge is like the taste of Christmas in my childhood.
Man, favorite Christmas cookie. I really, really love well-made Spritz.
Shout out to Val Battis and my wife, who has made so many Spritz this year already. It's incredible.
Yeah, Kylie hasn't made any for us. She normally does, but she hasn't made any for us this year.
Maybe I'll have to sacrifice a few and give them to you.
And this is key, a well-made Christmas sugar cookie with the right kind of frosting. I mean, it's got to have the right icing on it.
Do you like the they're often peanut butter-y cookie, but sometimes they're not, and then you put the Hershey Kiss in the middle of it. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what
they're called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
As a kid, those were my absolute favorite.
I like those.
And I don't know, I just never, that's never the one I grab now.
Another one of my new, and I don't know, does this consider, what's a truffle? You know what the truffle is? That a cookie? What is that? Yeah. Is that candy?
I don't know.
My sister-in-law, Cammie, shout out to her. My wife does this well, but my sister-in-law, Cammie, she makes like dozens of different flavors of those. From peppermint chocolate to peanut butter to amazing. She did for Thanksgiving this year, she did a pumpkin or a pecan pie one that was just to die for. So that's hers in particular, rapidly becoming
pretty much anything
you
put like chocolate and peppermint in this time of year, I'm fully on board with.
I used to, and I just can't. It's too many calories anymore. But one of my favorite things is peppermint hot chocolate.
Oh, It's ridiculous.
When
But
we lived in
Skinny Mike can't have peppermint hot chocolate anymore.
in California, and we wouldn't get the snow and everything, just to get into the mood. My best friend and I at the time, we planted the church together. He was my lead pastor. We would go to the mall for our meeting, and we'd get peppermint hot chocolate and just enjoy, because he's as much of a Christmas nut as I am, and that was just how we would get in the kind of the spirit.
This is like the one time of year where I'll drink coffee, because like when we lived in Minnesota, I know I don't like coffee, but Caribou's coffee is like smooth and not bitter, and their ho mint mocha it just tastes like peppermint hot chocolate with caffeine in it. It's
so good.
The best. All right. Least favorite Christmas treat. It doesn't have to be a cookie. So this can be any sort of Christmas related food, something where you're just like, not a chance, not touching it.
Oh, that's
a treat though, not
a treat.
Yeah, because lutefisk is the obvious answer for every human.
Anything with fruit in it. I'm not a big fruit. I like fruit flavors, but anything with real fruit in it, no.
Oh, anything with real fruit in it. Anything.
No. And I don't know why.
What about fruit?
I've been that way.
What about a strawberry?
No.
Do you not like fruit? Am I learning something about you?
I'll eat it, but I haven't liked it since I was a baby. So we've always speculated if I have a slight allergy to it. No, like I'll hear people say if I'm really like thirsty, they'll grab an apple, and an apple just dries me out.
You're weird.
I get super. Yeah.
How long have I known? I mean, you've been my pastor for 5 years.
But I love artificial fruit flavors like Jelly Bellies,
like a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. But
what about in pie though? Don't you like what about
but if I've got a choice between that and something else, I'll eat something else every time.
This is I don't know how I feel about this. The whole podcast is thrown off for me now. I have one last question. It's from Olivia, and it's a good one for you as a pastor.
Okay.
So Olivia would like you to come up with an acronym that you could preach on using the letters from Christmas.
I don't have time for that.
Yep, you got to do it fast. You got that in front of you. You can write it down if you'd like to.
Wow.
I'll take notes here as well. What's your Christmas acronym?
My Christmas acronym. Well, if you're gonna do it, so you've got to start with C. That's got to be
good start so far.
It's got to be Christ.
Okay, Christ.
Heaven. R would be redeemed.
Redeemed.
This is not in a great order.
I.
Oh, that one's hard. Isaiah, the prophecies of Isaiah. Done. S is going to be Savior. See, I'm going to get an email from your dad with like the perfect acronym. I know how this is going to work.
He has to do it as fast as you do, though.
T is, some people are just really good at this.
They're called pastors.
Yeah. We're just messed up that way. T is going to be, the first thing that comes to my mind is theology, and that doesn't work, but we'll use it.
All right, theology.
M, Messiah.
It's a long word.
Atonement. This is horrible. And S, star.
Ooh. All right, there we go.
That's awful.
Christmas, Christ, heaven, redeemed, Isaiah, Savior, theology, Messiah, atonement, star. That will be Pastor Mike's next Christmas message next year. So join us, 2023 Christmas series.
That's like a 3-week, 4-week series, 6-week series.
There you go.
There we got it.
You can finally have the long Christmas series you always wanted.
That was a mean question, Olivia.
Well, Pastor Mike, that's all for our Christmas podcast. Is there anything you'd like to say to all of our Grow podcast listeners as they close out the year, they finish celebrating Christmas, they listen to all of the ridiculousness from this episode?
Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for being a part of this. And I do mean that. I mean, our goal, we have some fun with this, and thanks for pushing through all that. But our goal really is to help you take a next step. And so there are some things I know we go back and kind of repeat over and over, but we want to see everybody take another next step in Jesus. And if we just helped you take one next step this last year, then that means that everything is worth it.
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Pastor Mike. Merry Christmas to all of you. We love you. We're so glad that you are part of our New Hope family, our Grow podcast family. Hope you have a great, happy New Year. Make sure you join us at one of our campuses or online for our this next coming Sunday. You're closing out the Messiah series on January 1st, assuming that you're listening to this the week it comes out. And then we'll get back into Greatest Story Ever Told. So
and our in-persons will be one service at 10:30 at all of our in-person. But online will be our regular
times. Online will be the same. Yep. And so make sure you join us for that. We would love to see you either in person or online. Jump in the chat if you're online. Because the Grow podcast is great, but it's definitely meant to supplement the weekend teaching.
Exactly.
And I mean, for those of you that join us regularly, obviously, I think that's been clear to you, but we really want to make sure you're joining us on the weekend, not just for the teaching, but also for the community and connecting with other believers. That's such an important part. So subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done that yet. You get notified when the new episodes go live. Like the video. It helps other people find it. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, we will see you.